Welcome to the Songwriters Circle. My name is Lisa Hanson, and I will be your host for this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I am so happy to have you here with me tonight, and I am so excited about this interview tonight. I hope that you are ready. Call your neighbor, call your friends, but you want to come and hear what we have to say, what we have to talk to. Tonight, we have all the way from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Mr. Rodney Harris. Rodney
Hello.
J. Harris.
Rodney J. Harris.
Rodney
Right.
J. Harris.
Exactly.
Welcome to the Songwriters Circle.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. I was so excited. I'm like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. There's just so much to cover.
Cool.
But before we get started, I just want to share with the audience just a little bit of his bio. His bio is extensive. So I'm only going to read just a little bit of it, and then we'll get into our conversation, okay?
Cool.
Okay. Born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, psalmist and songwriter Rodney Harris began singing in the church at the age of 7. At the age of 12, he began to sing with the Gospel Blenders.
Yes.
Okay. And recorded with them with the album entitled Since Christ Came Into My Life.
45. Yeah, it was a 45.
That was a 45?
Yeah, that was back in the day.
Oh, that's way back. Isn't the
Way
45
back.
the little ones?
The little ones. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
Back in 1977.
1977.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't want to ask you how old you are.
Oh,
No. We'll
That's
just
okay,
leave that.
though. We'll leave that.
We'll just leave that. Soon after, the group recorded again with Matt Myers for Matrix Production.
Yeah, Matric Production.
Matrix Production.
Yeah.
And 3 years later, the group completed their first album for Rashiba Records
Rashiba Records, yeah.
entitled Clap Hands for Jesus.
Or Hand Clap for Jesus.
Oh, yeah, that's what it says.
Right.
Hand Clap for Jesus.
Hand Clap for Jesus, yeah.
Wow, produced by Michael
Lavanius. He
Okay.
was his father was a big movie star out in, movie director out in Hollywood.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you get connected with?
Through Matt Myers, he was a actor. He was a actor from Philadelphia, and he heard our group or whatever, and got interested in our group. And he was doing acting, doing a lot of movies. He played on Law and Order and all those different movies and stuff
Wow.
like that. So he was interested in us and producing us as a gospel group.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we got connected with him, and we got connected with Michael Lavanius.
That's awesome. Now, how old were you? You started singing with them at age 7.
I started singing at 7, but I started singing with the group when I was 11.
Okay.
So I was 11, 12 years old when we first started.
Were these members of your family?
My brother, 2 of my cousins, and a couple of guys from out in the neighborhood or whatever. And my mother, she was the kind of person that, we was a musical family. And so when these guys came around or whatever, and they started playing, and my brother played percussions and drums, and then some other guys that played guitar and stuff, and we just got together and started singing in the house, and we would sing every day.
Wow.
They would come over, and it kept them young guys out of the streets,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
sure.
So they would come over and we started singing gospel, and it started from there back in 1972.
Wow, that is awesome. And that group is still
It's still in existence.
today.
Right,
And do you
exactly.
still sing with that group?
I still sing with them. Matter of fact, we just did a double CD 2 years ago. No, a year ago we did a double CD, and with Matt Myers again. Matt Myers, because we had disconnected ourselves like over 30 years ago.
Wow.
And he went into doing all these movies or whatever. He came back to Philly and wanted to recreate something with us, and we got together and did a reunion back in 2011. And so we had stopped singing for a while, and after 9 years, we had this big reunion, and like 500 people came out to
Wow, that's
3801 just to hear us sing again.
Wow.
And we just got started all over again, and then we decided to do another project, and I produced it, and it just went on from there.
Wait a minute. Did you say you produced it?
I produced the project, yes.
So not only are you a singer,
Singer,
you're a songwriter
songwriter, I'm a worship leader,
and a producer.
and a producer, yeah.
Wait, and I think there's more because I think you are also an actor.
Oh, I did some acting. Oh man, yeah, I did some acting. I was acting at Freedom Theater, the famous Freedom Theater in Philadelphia. Mr. Dallas, Walter Dallas, he's a director, and he was the director there at the time, and they had a play that they put together was called Lazarus Unstoned, and I wound up playing Lazarus, and we was on at the Freedom Theater for like 2 months.
Wow,
2
that's
months
awesome.
running and it was a
What, every
packed house.
weekend?
No, every day.
Every day
Yeah,
for
we had
2 months.
For 2 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
And it was packed
wonderful.
every day.
Every day. Incredible show.
That had to be an awesome show.
Yes, it was. It was
Awesome. Do you have it
amazing.
on video or anything?
They do have it, like just Freedom Theater have it in their archives or whatever, but nothing for for people to distribute out to people. or
Right,
anything like
right,
that.
right.
But it was amazing. It was amazing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have just scratched the tip of the iceberg with Mr. Rodney J. Harris. His resume is extensive, okay? He has sung with notables.
Oh, a lot of.
He
them,
has
yeah.
written for notables, past, present,
and
in the future.
Right.
And in the future. Now, I have a list here. I don't skip some of my bio
That's
because
all right,
we
that's all right. Don't worry about that.
but some of the notables that you've sung with. And then we're going to get back because I want to talk about your songwriting.
Okay.
Okay. But some of the notables that you have performed with or traveled with,
Toured with, yeah.
include
Let's see. Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton.
Y'all
Celine Dion.
remember Mountain Bolton? We love Mountain Bolton, right? Michael Bolton.
Yeah, Michael
Celine
Bolton.
Dion.
Celine Dion. Let's see, Daryl Hall from Hall & Oaks.
Yes.
I toured with him when he was doing his solo project called Philly Mood. Phyllis Hyman. Let's see, I did some Gerald Levert.
Wow. Gerald Levert. I know. How long did you sing with Gerald Levert?
I did a lot of spot dates, like when they had award shows here in Philly
Okay.
or in Washington at the Warner Theater.
Okay.
We did some Kimmel Center stuff or whatever, because I was doing a lot of things with Bill Jolly.
Okay.
He's a producer out in Philly, and he has the Bill Jolly Band,
Okay.
whatever. And like when they would do a lot of the rhythm and blues, the IM conferences and stuff like that, they would get him to be the band, the director, the music director for the music for the show.
Okay.
And he would incorporate me into that whole, entourage.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's amazing. It's amazing.
And so that's on. So you've done R&B.
I've done R&B,
been-
a little bit of R&B, a little bit, a lot of gospel, but a little bit of R&B. I've also toured with Teddy Pendergrass.
Wow.
I did Teddy Pendergrass for 3 years, and up to the time that he passed away. We toured. Wonderful guy. And I also wound up singing at his funeral.
Oh,
I
wow.
sang his last song that he wrote was called "I Am Who I Am."
Wow, that's an
Yeah.
honor.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah.
true honor.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Memorable moments. How about on the gospel side?
On the gospel side, let me see. One of my good friends, Kim Burrell.
Yes, we
toured
love
with
Kim.
her in London and here in Philadelphia. Marette Brown Clark
In Baltimore.
in Baltimore. I've worked on a lot of her projects or whatever.
Talking about Marette. So one of the things I said to you when I first met you is that you
Okay.
have a very unique sound. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
And you do. You have a very unique sound. And when I read about you singing back up for Marette Brown Clark, of course I had to Google. I went online
Okay.
and looking up the song, and I could hear you.
Yeah.
I could hear your tone. I could hear, I'm like, there he is. I hear him. I hear him. That's Rodney.
Yeah. She's one of my good friends. Stephen Hurd.
Okay.
Stephen Hurd, I've worked on his two of his projects, 2 or 3 of his projects or whatever. And he's a wonderful guy, wonderful worship leader.
Wow.
Amazing dude. It's a whole.
It's a whole list. Again, he hasn't even scratched the surface. One more. Let me add just 2 more. Shirley Caesar.
Shirley Caesar, I've worked on her Christmas project.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
And let's see who else on here I wanted to pick out. The Hawkins family.
Well, we never actually. What we did with the Hawkins was my group, the Blenders, at the Robin Hood Dell East. They used to have a lot of gospel shows, and it used to be called the Gospel Ramas.
I remember
And-
that.
Yeah, and
Never been, but I remember.
Okay. And when they did their first Gospel Rama, we was the only local group that opened up for the Hawkins family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And then we was the only group that was at when they had the Scottish Rite Cathedral. You remember that?
Mm-mm.
It used to be downtown in Philadelphia at the Academy of Music. We
Mhm.
was there with Andre Crouch.
Mhm.
You know, so we was like the first quartet group or whatever to do a lot of major things
Right, right.
in the city and with big major people. We even did the JFK Stadium with 85,000 people. It was for the police. It was a scholarship thing that they have every year.
Wow.
This was some years ago, and it was like 85,000. We was the only quartet, only gospel group there to perform.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That is amazing. That is again an honor.
Yeah,
I keep
yeah.
saying it. It's an honor. You've done some awesome
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
and I celebrate you for that. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited that you are here
I'm glad
because
to be here.
not only have you done all those things with other people, but your own career, itself.
Right.
You're an accomplished songwriter.
Well, I'll try.
Your songs are wonderful. Is it Dallas Fort Worth,
Oh,
Texas?
Dallas Fort Worth Mass Choir.
Mhm.
It was back in, I think it was in '98, and they did I'd Rather Have Jesus album.
Mhm.
Stephen Ford produced it,
Okay.
and I was one of Stephen Ford's background singers for all of his projects. So he was doing projects all the time, and so he said, Rodney, I need a song, and he said, I got this song. He said, no, I do have a song. This guy that wrote it or whatever, but I need some more added to it or whatever. So he called me the night before. He said, look, listen to this song I'm sending to you. Add me verses all to the song or whatever. And that morning, I wrote it all night long. That morning, I went to the studio, sang it in the studio, and it came out on the next album.
Wow. Now, which song was that?
It's called Work the Works.
Okay, I heard that song.
Yeah, Work the
Awesome.
Works.
And you did that in one night.
In one night.
See, that's a songwriter. You know what I mean? Because then you have the gift to
Yeah.
be able to come up with something
Yeah.
on the spot. You know what I mean? And to hear and to be inspired and to come up with something that's going to work.
Right.
Yeah. So that didn't come easily. So
No,
when did it
no.
start?
It started, well, I wrote my first song in '79. And after that, just being in church a lot and just praying being a singer or whatever, but praying and asking God to show me how to play, and you know what I mean? So
You're a musician.
I do play. I play to write though. I used to play in church and stuff like that. And I remember, it was some years ago, and we was having a 40-day fast and revival at church, and the pastor told us, put your prayers, put your
Petitions
out there. And I said, well, you know what I want to do before this 40 nights is up? I want to play the piano. And didn't know much about playing piano or anything like that. My mother did play a little bit, and before that 40 nights and fast was over, I was actually on the piano playing.
Oh, wow.
It was amazing. It was a gift, just from God or whatever. And I said, well, God, I'm going to just use this, just to bless you with it. So I play to write. So the songs that I come up with is, just from me playing. You know what I'm saying? I don't do any playing at the church or anything like that. 'Cause I keep that
We
for
can't
the
call
young
you
time.
up to play for it, right?
No, I don't do that.
Church anniversary or
I used to do
anything
that a long
like that.
time ago, but that part of the gift is gone. Just the regular songwriting.
But
part.
that's key. I heard someone say that to be accomplished songwriter, you need to be able to play, or at least be able to pick out notes,
right.
So that you can teach it to other people,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
translate that sound,
Right.
To whoever is going to sing it,
Yeah.
So you started writing. What was your first song? Do you remember it?
My first very song was Hand Clap for Jesus.
Really?
That was the very first song was Hand Clap for Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's awesome to have a song and to have someone to sing it for you. And not only to have someone to sing it, but have it recorded.
Yeah.
So now it's marked in history.
Yeah.
And you were about,
So
what, 12, 13?
I was actually, when that song was written, I was 16.
Wow. And
I
then
was
ever
16.
since then, you've been writing even more.
Ever since then, I've been writing even more.
So all right, so you had a group that you were already a part of.
Right.
You were writing songs.
Right.
You've written songs for others.
Yeah. Local groups or whatever, and and not just local groups, but for Bishop Bruce Paul Ham.
Now, how did that come about? Was that through relationship?
Through
did you happen to ask him?
No, that's actually through a Stephen Ford.
Mm-hmm.
He was producing it. He was producing his album, and one of the music directors that was working with Bishop Parham, I had gave the song to Temple University Mass Choir.
Okay.
Temple University had a mass choir, and he loved the song, and he was connected with Bishop Bruce Parham, and he said he wanted Bishop to sing this song, whatever. And so soon when Bishop heard the song, he just fell in love with it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so they just put it on the next project.
album.
Yeah.
So let's go
Now,
back
actually,
to
when they did that, I was in Europe.
you were in Europe.
I was touring in Europe when they actually did that project.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. I was touring in Europe with a group called the Newberry Singers,
Okay.
and
Is
they
that
from Philadelphia.
now is that a quartet group?
Quartet group. Yep,
Philadelphia quartet.
yep. It was a quartet group, but they was quartet, but they only had, we sang was 4 guys, and we sang with a piano,
Okay.
and that was it. 4-part harmony, 3-part harmony, Brother Newberry, Edwin Newberry, is the one who created that group, like in 1954.
Okay.
And they used to sing with Clara Ward singers and all of them. You know, they was very popular back in the day. And they did a reunion in '98, and he said, "I need your help. Could you come and just sing with us or whatever while we do the reunion?" And so from that started me. That started me to sing with them in '98, and we sang up to last year when we had our last concert.
Wow.
Yeah, and we toured Europe for like 10 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So you've been to Europe,
Europe.
and
Yes.
in traveling, have you been able to share your music overseas?
Not really my music, only everything that I've done with the Newberry Singers. So they
Okay.
have 2 projects that they've done, and overseas they are very, very popular. You know, they're very popular over in Switzerland, France, Spain, and Monte Carlo, and those kind of areas, Portugal, whatever. So they was very, very popular. So we would tour over there for like, do like 45 to 60 dates over there. And I had a lot of songs that I sang with them, with the group. So they was pretty popular over there. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, we're hoping and believing, God, that for 2016 on,
Right.
that we will be traveling with your own music.
Right.
You
Well,
know.
I'm working on a lot of music right now. Been in the studio, just putting things together, working on just some solo stuff for me. So,
Wow, that's
yeah.
awesome. And
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing that. Now, you did a song with the Gospel Music Workshop of America.
Yes.
I loved it. I loved
Thank
it.
you.
You know,
Thank you. I
we can't
appreciate
share anything about that song right now, but
Cool.
just stay tuned
Yeah,
for
coming,
it.
it's coming.
It's coming. And I told you then when I heard it that I
Right.
loved it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
tell me some more about, we have a lot of songwriters that watch the show on
Okay.
a regular, okay? You've had the opportunity to write songs and to have them placed with various groups all over the place,
Yeah.
okay? I did hear that some of those placements were because of relationships you already had
Oh, yes,
established.
exactly.
Were all of them? You know,
All of 'em-
we know
well-
Stephen Ford was a key
Oh
to
yeah,
that.
Stephen has always been a major key for me. Working with him has been an amazing and mind-boggling for me because I learned so much. I mean, he's an amazing producer, and writer, and because of my affiliation with Ford Memorial, Bishop Ford's church, and my connection with him and his daughters and all, we all was a part of his background singing. So every project that he would produce, he would get his singers because he knew what he was going to get from all of that.
Right.
And so it's been an amazing journey. You know what I'm saying? And everything as far as writing for me has always been through connections. I wrote a song for Terrence Hudley, who's out. He's a worship leader for CRL Mass Choir. Redeem is out in Baltimore.
Okay.
And he did a project, and I wrote a song for him, but that was through Stephen Ford.
Wow.
Another connection. Then I wrote a song for, what is it called? Drexel University. They did a project, and I did 2 songs on their project, and that was just a connection from another friend of mine named Jason Henderson. Again, a lot of these these opportunities come through connections. You know what I'm saying?
So that's one of the things that we talk about is with Songwriters Association is it's all about relationship, you
Yes.
know, and it's important to build those relationships in order to have your music to grow and to
Right.
go out further.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't be in the box and say, this is my song, you
Right.
know, this is my song, and I'm just, you know, unless you're just that fabulous, you
Yeah,
know, but
and
a lot of us have to work,
yeah, yeah. And
you
a
know.
song is just a song unless it's heard.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? It's just something written on a piece of paper or that you've copied on a CD, but it has to be heard to the masses of people or to just people at large.
Right.
You know, so you got to network. You got to get with people. You got to hang out. Go where the the writers are. Go where singers are. Whatever. Introduce yourself. You know what I mean? Be positive about what you have and make sure that your stuff is copywritten and all those different things or whatever, and submit your stuff to people. That's the only way you're gonna to get out there, and so for people to gravitate to your music and it could be heard all over the place.
Right. Are you affiliated with any organizations?
BMI, Harry Fox Agency out in New York.
Okay.
Harry Fox Agency does all my mechanical license, and BMI, ASCAP, CSAC is just a performance rights company or whatever.
Right.
So I've been with BMI for a minute.
Oh, that's awesome. And anyone else?
No, just those two.
Okay, so after the show, we'll talk.
All
Right.
right, good, good, good.
So for those aspiring songwriters, and I want to say this first, but I want to get back to your producing as well,
Okay.
because you have some things that you've produced that I want to hear about.
Okay.
For those aspiring songwriters that are just getting out there, just getting started, we said that they need to network, they need to
Network.
build relationships, you know what I mean? Is there any other way that you suggest? Have you used any social media or anything
yes.
like that?
I do social media all the time. I even I've been working on some music or whatever, and what I do is I'll work on some music or whatever, and I'll sample it and put it on social media. You know what I'm saying? I through SoundCloud and put it on SoundCloud or whatever. So because a lot of people are so connected with the internet now. So you put it on SoundCloud. You don't have to put the whole song, or you could just put a snippet of the song or whatever. And then I go on social media and say, look, I just put a new song up or whatever. Check it out. Send in your comments. Tell me what you think about it. Just so people can get a buzz of what you do. You're keeping yourself relevant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Letting yourself be known, because people want to know what you do if they know you as a songwriter, if they know you as a singer or a musician. And on social media to make, to contact, to communicate with people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you got to do those things if you really want to get yourself out there. And the one thing I would tell, aspiring writers is to do your homework.
That's key.
Do your homework as far as copyrights, knowing what you have, and knowing the business side, because it's okay to have a wonderful gift. It's okay to write and stuff, but if you don't have no business sense, if you don't put your business part into perspective, you're gonna get taken every time.
Every time. And
Every time.
that's one of the things that, again, that I talk to artists about, is that first and foremost, as a songwriter, you have to think of yourself as a business.
As a business.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
You have to think of yourself as a business, and you have to act as a business.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you have to make sure that you surround yourself, if you don't know, with people who have that information.
That's right. That's right.
So.
Yeah, that's what I've done. I've done so much stuff with so many people. I used to do a lot of stuff at Gamble and Huff Studio over in Philadelphia, Philly International. And I used to talk with Mr. Gamble all the time, and he would tell me things. He's like, this is a tough business, from the secular side or gospel side, however you look at it. But it's a business, and you have to make sure that you know your business. If it's like in anything else, any career that you get into, you study.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You do all the necessary things so you can be the best at what you at.
Right.
And so his suggestion would always be, look, if you're going to be in the music business, you need to know everything about the music business from beginning to end. So if you don't know your stuff, then somebody's going to take advantage of you, and it's not their fault that they took advantage of you. It's your fault because you didn't do your homework.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you have to do your homework.
And the key to that is that you have to start somewhere.
Exactly.
No one has all the information all at once.
Right.
But you just have to get started. You have to see.
I used to go to different seminars when Bobby Jones used to have music seminars in Atlanta. That's how I met Donald Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? Went there and was talking with him or whatever, and he had just finished up with Stephanie Mills and was just coming into the whole gospel circuit, and he started with his choir, the Tri-City Singers. And we met, we, you know, hooked up, networked, whatever. I let him hear some songs of mine. He was like, oh yeah, I like that, whatever. And we stayed, you know, in contact. We wasn't calling each other every day,
Right.
but in this industry, you see him. Like I just finished a tour, the McDonald's Inspirational Tour, and he was the MD for the tour. I was the stage manager for the tour. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And we still stayed in contact. I mean, and you network. You know, you meet people. Like even with the tour we just finished. Yolanda Adams was on the tour. Ricky Dillard was on the tour. Dorinda Clark and Tasha Lockhart was on the tour. And I've made friends with them. You know what I mean? And you can make connections. That's how you, again, network.
Yes.
You know, I'm sending them songs. You know what I mean? Only because there was that connection.
Right.
And you know, you show yourself friendly to people, and people show
yourself
themselves friendly
to you.
Yeah.
And that is key. That is so key.
Exactly.
If you show yourself friendly to people, they'll show themselves friendly to you.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of good information in this interview. I knew from the time we started, it was just so much. We haven't even scratched the surface. I think we only have a couple more minutes.
Okay.
So I want you to tell me about I wanted to get you to sing. I really did. Can I get you to sing?
Sure, I can sing something, I guess.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, for your listening pleasure, I introduce to you Rodney J. Harris, who's also going to close us out for the evening, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right, this song is called, I just finished working on this song, and it's called Peculiar Praise. So, there's a peculiar praise that I have to give, and it's burning in my heart, and it must be heard. There's a melody only I can sing, and it speaks to my soul. Oh, what joy it brings to me. Now this praise that I have, you might not understand why I praise him like I do. God has really brought me through. He restored me back again. Now my desire is to live with him and let him speak to my soul. Oh, what joy it brings to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first on the Songwriters Circle. Rodney J. Harris. When is that song coming out?
Hopefully in 2016.
2016.
Yes.
You heard it first on the Songwriters Circle. I'm excited about that. Oh, Rodney, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you, and I hope you'll come back because, again, we haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah, that's okay, though, girl. We can do it again.
Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching the Songwriters Circle, and until next time, God bless you.